My name is Caleb Ryan Walker, and I'm 14 years old. On October 18th, 2023, I died for 17 minutes. It sounds unbelievable, even to me, but I want to tell you exactly what happened, because I didn't just die. I saw things that changed everything I thought I knew about life, death, and the world around us. I live in a small town just outside Denver, Colorado, with my mom, dad, and little sister Sophie. We're a pretty normal family, the kind that cheers at my basketball games on Friday nights and bickers over the last slice of pizza. I'm on my middle school basketball team and spend weekends in the garage with my dad, working on his old Mustang. I also love video games, especially ones where you get to build and explore new worlds. I never really thought about anything beyond the day-to-day. The varsity team tryouts, my friends, or the latest game release. That morning started like any other. Mom made pancakes. Sophie was being her usual playful self, trying to sneak my bacon when no one was looking. Dad was scrolling through his phone, excited about a rocket launch he'd read about. I remember thinking how amazing it would be to work for a company like SpaceX someday, launching rockets into space and helping people explore new worlds. I grabbed my backpack, waved goodbye, and headed off to school without knowing this would be the last normal moment I'd ever have. During lunch, I took a bite of what I thought was just a peanut butter cookie from the cafeteria. But something went wrong immediately. My throat began to tighten like a vice. I gasped for air, but my lungs wouldn't cooperate. The cafeteria spun wildly, sounds muffled and distorted like I was underwater. My legs gave out, and I slammed to the floor hard enough to feel the cafeteria tiles press against my cheek. Then, everything went black. But I wasn't gone. Not really. The strangest thing happened. I found myself floating above the chaos, like I was watching everything from a distance. I could see the school nurse performing CPR on a kid who looked exactly like me. Around me, kids screamed, teachers shouted, and ambulance sirens wailed louder and louder. Yet, despite the chaos, I felt an overwhelming peace. It was like being wrapped in the softest, warmest blanket you could ever imagine, a comfort that seeped into every inch of me. Suddenly, I wasn't in the cafeteria anymore. I was standing in a place that looked like a field of golden grass, but this grass wasn't ordinary. It glowed, softly from within, like tiny flames flickering in the wind but without burning. The sky above was unlike anything I'd seen. It wasn't blue or cloudy. It was pure light, so bright yet gentle, like looking directly into a million suns but without feeling any pain or discomfort. The silence was different too. It wasn't empty or heavy. It was full of love, warmth, and something I can only describe as peace that filled every part of my soul. Then, I saw him. Jesus was walking toward me, but not like the pictures we see in church or in books. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with dark hair that caught the light in waves. His eyes were the kind that looked deep inside you and saw every part of you. The good, the bad, the hidden fears. But it was his smile that struck me most. It was warm and comforting, like every happy memory I'd ever had all rolled into one feeling, wrapping around me like a soft hug. When he spoke, his voice was incredible. It wasn't just one voice. It sounded like my dad's voice when he comforts me, mixed with my grandfather's deep, calm tone. It was every voice of love I'd ever heard all at once. He said, "Caleb," and before I could say anything, tears just started flowing. I don't know why. "I've been waiting for you," he said. I felt like a little kid again, confused and amazed. "Am I dead?" I asked quietly. "Your body is resting," he replied gently, "but you're more alive now than you've ever been." He reached out and touched my shoulder, and the warmth that spread through me was like drinking hot chocolate after being out in the snow. Every worry I'd ever had about school, friends, whether I was good enough, melted away in that instant. Then Jesus said, "I have something important to show you, something the world needs to understand." The golden field around us shifted. Suddenly, we were standing above the Earth, but not like astronauts in space. We were watching everything unfold at once: cities, countries, people rushing through their lives. It was beautiful, but also terrifying. "Do you see that man there?" Jesus pointed. I looked and recognized him immediately. Victor Crane, the tech billionaire known for rockets and AI breakthroughs. But he looked older, more serious, standing in what looked like a massive control room with screens everywhere. "I know him," I said. "He's the guy who builds rockets and cars." Jesus nodded, but his face grew serious. "Caleb, listen closely. This man will soon announce something that will change everything. He thinks he's helping humanity, but he doesn't understand the spiritual battle he's about to unleash." I watched as the scene shifted. Victor was speaking to a packed auditorium, holding up a small device, a computer chip the size of a fingernail. "He's going to offer humanity a way to connect their minds directly to machines," Jesus said. "He calls it progress, helping people be smarter, curing diseases." But then, the room darkened, and strange shadows slipped between the screens and Victor's feet. They weren't human, not animals either. Something else. They whispered in his ear. Jesus said softly, "Those are demons. They've planned this for decades, convincing people to willingly open their minds to a trap that will separate them from me forever." I felt sick watching it. But he seems like a good guy. He wants to help people get to Mars and save the planet. "Many with good intentions become tools in the enemy's hands," Jesus said. "Victor truly believes he's saving humanity, but pride blinds him to the spiritual reality that technology can't heal what only I can." The scene changed again. I saw millions lined up outside clinics, excited to get the brain chips, as if waiting for the latest iPhone release. Jesus explained, once they accept the chip, their thoughts won't be completely their own. The enemy will have direct access to their minds. I watched as people's eyes changed, becoming empty and distant. Their movements robotic, efficient, but missing something essential. "It's not the mark of the beast yet," Jesus said. "That comes later. But this is the preparation. The enemy is conditioning people to accept merging with technology as normal, even desirable. Each step makes the next easier." I asked, "What about people who refuse the chip?" Jesus showed me another scene. Those people were treated like outcasts, called fearful, backward, unable to get jobs or access services. "My true followers will face pressure like never before," he said. "They'll be called outdated, holding back progress, but they will be the ones still connected to me, still able to hear my voice." I saw small groups of Christians meeting in secret, praying by candlelight, even as the power was cut to their homes. "But here's what the enemy doesn't understand," Jesus said, his voice powerful enough to make the air vibrate. "Every trial only makes my church stronger. Every persecution purifies my people. And I will never abandon those who stay faithful." The scene shifted one last time. I saw those persecuted Christians glowing with a light like Jesus. They were healing the sick, speaking in languages they'd never learned, performing miracles that made the brain chips seem like toys. "Those who reject false technology will experience my power in ways the modern church has never seen," Jesus said. "I'm preparing a remnant to demonstrate my love and power to a world that's forgotten real supernatural." I was overwhelmed. "Why are you showing me this? I'm just a kid." Jesus knelt to my level, even though we were still floating above the earth. "Caleb, young people like you will be the hardest hit by this deception. The technology will be marketed as fun, the next step in evolution. Gaming, social media, virtual reality. It'll seem harmless at first." He placed his hands on my shoulders. "I'm sending you back because I need someone your age to warn others. Adults won't be believed. It has to come from someone who understands your world." I swallowed hard. "Who will believe me? I'm nobody special." Jesus smiled. "Moses thought he was nobody special. David was just a shepherd boy. Mary was a teenage girl in a small town. I specialize in using ordinary people to do extraordinary things. The golden field began to fade. I felt panic. I don't want to go back. It's so peaceful here. Down there, everything will be so hard. Jesus pulled me into a hug that felt like pure love itself. I know, son, but your family needs you. Your friends need you. And there are young people who will only listen if the warning comes from you. I woke up in the hospital, my body heavy and aching as if I'd run a marathon in my sleep. The fluorescent lights above flickered, and the faint hum of machines beeped steadily, reminders that I was tethered to life in a fragile way. My mom was sitting by my bedside, her eyes red and swollen from crying. When she saw me blink open my eyes, relief flooded her face. "Caleb, you're awake!" Her voice cracked like a fragile glass, breaking after so much fear. "You scared us all." I tried to speak, but my throat felt raw and tight. The nurse handed me a cup of water, and I sipped slowly, still struggling to grasp what had happened. Memories of the golden field, Jesus, and the visions swirled through my mind like a whirlwind. Over the next few days, as I recovered, I tried to tell my parents about what I saw, but it wasn't easy. To them, I was a lucky kid who'd survived an allergic reaction. But what I carried inside was something far bigger, a message. School was harder when I got back. Everyone treated me like a miracle. Kids whispered behind my back, some stared with awe, others with pity. My best friend Marcus was supportive but cautious. "Man, that's wild what happened to you," he said one afternoon while we sat under the oak tree on campus. "But are you sure you're not just dreaming?" I wished I could say I wasn't. I tried to explain about the vision, about the technology, the chip, the spiritual battle, but it felt like speaking a different language. Most people just laughed it off or changed the subject. That night in my room, I pulled out my Bible and reread the verses Jesus had pointed me to in my vision. "And do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell." Matthew 10:28. The words felt alive, like a lifeline thrown across a stormy sea. They reminded me I wasn't alone in this fight. Then the nightmares began. They weren't like ordinary bad dreams. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing, images flashing behind my eyes, the glowing chip, the shadowy figures whispering in Victor Crane's ear, and people I recognized from school, their eyes vacant, robotic. One night, I had a dream so vivid it shook me awake. I was in the middle of a massive crowd, all holding out their hands, eager to receive the chip. I looked down at my own, hands shaking, empty, then up at the crowd's blank stares. Suddenly, a voice boomed out, loud and cold. "Accept the chip and be perfect. Reject and be forgotten." I gasped awake, the room spinning. I clutched my Bible to my chest, whispering, "Lord, protect us." The next day, I found a flyer at school advertising a new tech expo, featuring Victor Crane's latest invention. It was everywhere. Posters, social media ads, even TV commercials. The chip was being called the next evolution, promising to unlock human potential, cure illnesses, and connect us all. My stomach twisted. I remembered Jesus' warning about pride and deception. The chip wasn't just a gadget, it was a spiritual trap. Determined, I started talking to other kids who felt uneasy about the technology. I found a small group who were skeptical, including Marcus, a girl named Layla with fiery red hair and sharp green eyes, and a quiet boy, Omar, who always wore a leather jacket despite the warm weather. We began, meeting in secret after school, sharing what we'd learned and praying together. Our conversations grew deeper, sometimes late into the night, as we tried to understand how to warn others. One afternoon, Layla brought a hand-drawn poster that said, "Choose freedom, not the chip." Her art was fierce and raw, a mix of graffiti and comic book style, showing a broken chain and a shining cross. It inspired us all. But as we grew bolder, things started to change. Marcus told me he overheard teachers talking about disciplinary action for spreading false information. Omar's parents warned him to stop associating with us, saying we were dangerous radicals. And Layla's phone mysteriously stopped working. We realized the pushback wasn't just from people, it was a full-scale effort to silence anyone who questioned the chip. It was like the shadowy demons from my vision were real and watching us. One night, I was sitting on my porch, Bible in hand, when a strange feeling swept over me, like icy fingers brushing down my spine. I looked up and saw a black car idling nearby, its windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. The car slowly drove off, but I knew it was a warning. Fear gnawed at me, but I remembered Jesus' words. I will never abandon those who stay faithful. That promise became my shield. I started posting videos online telling my story, sharing the vision, the warnings, and urging people to stay vigilant. At first, only a handful of people watched, but slowly, my message spread. Messages poured in from young people around the world who had similar concerns. The pressure increased. Schools banned our meetings, social media accounts were suspended, and some friends turned away. But the fire in my heart burned brighter. I knew I was fighting for something far bigger than myself. For freedom, for faith, for the future of a generation. One evening, I prayed harder than ever, asking Jesus for strength and courage. As I closed my eyes, I felt a warmth flood. Through me, a reassurance that no matter what came next, I was never alone. Because God is greater. The tension kept building like a storm ready to break. Every day felt like walking a tightrope, knowing the world around me was changing fast, and that the chip wasn't just a future possibility, but a looming reality creeping closer. Then one day, it all came to a head. The Tech Expo opened in our city, the grand unveiling of Victor Crane's miracle chip. Crowds flocked to the venue, drawn by flashy ads promising a new era of human evolution. I knew this was the moment we'd warned everyone about. With my small group, Marcus, Layla, Omar, we stood at the edge of the crowd, holding our homemade signs, whispering prayers. Victor Crane stepped onto the stage, a tall man with a sharp jaw and piercing blue eyes that seemed to slice through the crowd like lasers. His smile was cold and rehearsed, like a mask hiding something dark beneath. "Welcome," he said, voice booming. "Today, we change the world. With this chip, disease, pain, and weakness will be a thing of the past. We will unlock the full potential of humanity. United, stronger, perfect." The crowd erupted in cheers, but my heart hammered. I saw faces in the audience, some hopeful, some skeptical, but mostly unaware of the spiritual battle hidden beneath the surface. Suddenly, the screens behind Victor lit up with images of the chip being implanted, people glowing with unnatural light, their eyes vacant and eerily calm. I felt a chill run down my spine. Then a quiet voice inside me whispered, "This is the moment to stand." I stepped forward, voice shaking but clear. "Wait, please listen. This chip isn't what it seems. It's a trap, a tool to control your souls, not free you." The crowd murmured, some turning to look at me like I was crazy. Victor's smile twisted. "And who are you to challenge progress? What power do you think you have?" I held up my Bible. "The power of the Lord. And I've seen the darkness behind this technology. You're playing with souls, not just machines." He laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the hall. "Faith is a weakness. Science is the future." But before he could continue, something unexpected happened. A sudden power outage plunged the venue into darkness. The crowd gasped, lights flickered back on, but the giant screens now displayed a different image, a glowing cross shining bright over the chaos. People started murmuring, some kneeling, others wiping tears from their eyes. I felt a surge of peace wash over me. Victor looked stunned, powerless. In that moment, the truth shone through. The crowd began to disperse, many coming over to join us, asking questions, seeking answers. Our small group grew larger by the hour, united not by fear, but by hope. The chip? It was exposed for what it was, a tool of deception, no matter how convincing the promises. Weeks later, life slowly returned to normal. Victor's project was shut down by authorities after our investigations into its hidden dangers. The tech industry faced backlash, and a new movement arose, one rooted in faith, freedom, and truth. I stood at the front of our new community meetings, no longer afraid, but empowered. I'd faced darkness and deception, but with God's strength, I won. Jesus' words echoed in my heart, stronger than ever. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Matthew 10:28. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and comment below how God is great. Share it with someone you love and desire to bless, because his light always wins.